Shadowverse. Blaze and Kira, the secret society. Dot. Dot. The whispers of power. Dot. Dot. The cicadas sing, a high, metallic whine that vibrates in the humid night at the edge of a jungle within Japan. Beyond the ancient roof of the dojo, the neon glow of Tokyo bleeds across the sky, a sickly purple haze of progress and distraction. Rain begins, not a gentle shower, but a sudden, hard-edged downpour, splattering against the worn wooden facade. This place, nestled on the city's fringes, feels like a forgotten prayer, surrounded by whispering, dripping trees that hold shadows like secrets. Inside, the air is thick, humid. It smells of old wood, sweat, and something else, something sharp and electric, like ozone after a lightning strike. The rain thrums on the roof, a relentless, drumming rhythm. Blaze, 17, a tightly wound spring of muscle and bone, moves in the center of the polished floor. He is all angles and precision, a dark silhouette against the dim, glowing shoji screens. His fade haircut is damp with sweat. He is only 5 feet 8, 170 pounds, but it is all hard efficiency, 7% body fat carved from bone and will. His golden eyes, usually calm, almost placid, are now alight with an unnerving, focused intensity. He practices Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's philosophy of combat, beautiful in its brutal efficiency. A jab snaps out, so fast it seems to tear the air itself, leaving a momentary ripple. His foot sweeps low, a blur, an invisible assailant tripped and brought down. He isn't thinking about the next move, it simply is. It flows through him, a current, a preternatural understanding of leverage, angle, and impact. It isn't just muscle memory, it is something deeper, a gift, or maybe a burden, from somewhere beyond. He feels it for as long as he can remember, a quiet voice in his bones, guiding his hands, positioning his feet. He pauses, a shiver running through him, involuntary. The dojo is empty, save for him, but a prickle of unease crawls up his neck. A whisper of something other. He holds his breath, listens, then exhales slowly, a wisp of vapor in the cool air, and plunges back into the brutal dance. Each strike now carries a little more force, a little more hum. The city howls. Sirens wail in the distance, a lonely, mournful sound. The rain a blinding sheet, bouncing off the sleek chrome and glass of the buildings. Headlights cut through the downpour, streaks of white and red. Kira, also 17, 5 feet 5 inches tall, moves through a narrow alley, a shadowy canyon between two soaring, imposing towers. Her maroon-red hair, naturally dark, is plastered to her face, dripping water. She is fit, curves hinting at coiled power. Her golden hazel eyes gleam, reflecting the frenetic pulse of the neon signs that paint the wet asphalt in smears of electric color. Her style is different from Blaze's, but no less lethal. She moves with a fierce, almost feral grace. A swift, low kick, a blur, sending a geyser of water into the air. Then a flurry of punches and hooks, tight and devastating, pure boxing and Muay Thai, aimed at unseen pressure points. But then her movements shift. They become fluid, like water eddying in a hidden stream, then abruptly solid, grounded, like the roots of an ancient tree. She practices a blending of earth, water, and even animal styles. She throws a powerful spinning back fist, and for a split second, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer of light follows her hand. It is gone as quickly as it appears, a trick of the light, perhaps, or a nascent energy escaping her control. She lands, breathing hard, rain running down her face like tears. The alley vibrates with her raw, untamed energy. She tips her head back, letting the cold rain wash over her, her eyes fixed on the oppressive, rain-streaked sky. There is a fierce determination there, a hunger for something she can't quite name, a restless power that hums just beneath her skin. Dot. 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 The next day. Dot. Dot. The low murmur of teenage voices, the rustle of papers, the squeak of markers on whiteboards. Sunlight slants through the window, dusty and warm. It is an ordinary classroom, a modern cage for young minds, but in here, nothing is truly ordinary. Blaze sits at his desk, head slightly bowed, his fingers moving, almost unconsciously, sketching. Not doodles, but intricate, flowing patterns in his notebook, sequences of movement that could be abstract art or diagrams for dismantling a human body with terrifying efficiency. He is quiet, reserved, a shadow in the bright room. He's always been that way. He prefers the silence. Across the room, Kira laughs, a bright, clear sound, surrounded by a cluster of friends. She is vibrant, a splash of color and motion. But even as she talks, her gaze drifts, a magnetic pull, landing on Blaze's still form for the barest fraction of a second. She looks away quickly, as if caught, but the connection, unseen, unheard, hangs in the air between them. A mutual awareness, a shared, silent burden. The teacher's voice drones on, a low, rhythmic hum. He talks about ancient Japanese history, about legendary warriors, about things long forgotten, or so they say. And so, the teacher recites, his voice a monotonous drone, the whispered legends speak of a unique blend of combat, a true martial harmony. Said to be capable of bending reality itself, a power not truly gone, but merely sleeping. Blaze's hand freezes mid-stroke. Kira's laughter dies on her lips. Her smile falters, replaced by a knowing, almost grim expression. Their eyes meet across the room. Just for a heartbeat, a spark. A flash of understanding, not just of the words, but of the weight behind them. The sleeping power that is now stirring, inside them. Dot. Dot. The first spar. Dot. Dot. The next day, after the final bell, the dojo buzzes with a different kind of energy. The air still carries that ozone scent, but now it mixes with the sharp tang of liniment and anticipation. Senior students, a mix of lean, hardened practitioners and confident, preening upperclassmen, gather on the sidelines. The head sensei, a man with eyes that see too much and a smile that reveals too little, stands at the edge of the mat. Today is the day new students are assessed. Not with drills, but with a series of controlled, observed spars. It is a formality for most, a chance to show off basic forms. For Blaze and Kira, it is a test they don't even know they are taking. Blaze feels the familiar hum beneath his skin, that quiet resonance that sharpens his senses. He watches the first few matches, noting the habits, the tells, the rhythms of his peers. Their movements are good, disciplined, but predictable. He feels a faint impatience, a desire to simply do. He straps on the padded gloves, the leather feeling strangely light in his hands. When the sensei calls his name, a ripple goes through the small crowd. Blaze, the quiet one, the new kid who barely speaks. His opponent is Tanaka, a third-year student, all swagger and muscle, known for his aggressive, straightforward karate. Begin. The sensei's voice cuts through the air. Tanaka lunges, a textbook front kick aimed at Blaze's chest. It is fast, powerful. Blaze doesn't block. He evades. A micro adjustment, a slight shift of his weight, and the kick whistles harmlessly past his ribs. Tanaka blinks, surprised. Then Blaze moves. Not a technique from a school, but a seamless improvisation. His lead hand shoots out. Not a punch, but a distraction, a flipping motion that draws Tanaka's guard up. As Tanaka adjusts, Blaze's back leg sweeps in, low and fast, a blur against the polished floor. It isn't a standard sweep, it is angled, designed to catch Tanaka's heel at precisely the moment of his weight transfer. Tanaka loses his balance, stumbling forward, eyes wide with disbelief. Before Tanaka can recover, Blaze is there, a fluid shadow. A quick, almost playful tap to Tanaka's shoulder, then a light touch to the back of his neck, a phantom choke. The movements are so effortless, so unforced, they look almost like a dance. Tanaka stands frozen, suddenly understanding. Blaze could have ended it. He could have broken bones. Instead, he just demonstrates. The sensei, usually stoic, raises an eyebrow. A faint, almost imperceptible twitch at the corner of his mouth. The other students are silent, a collective gasp held in their throats. Tanaka, red-faced, bows quickly. Blaze, humble as ever, bows deeper. He walks off the mat, feeling the hum intensify, a quiet satisfaction in his bones. Kira's turn. Her opponent is Akari, a nimble girl who favors taekwondo, all high kicks and aerial maneuvers. Akari bounces on the balls of her feet, light and quick, a blur of motion. Begin. Akari launches into a flurry of spinning kicks, each one whistling through the air, designed to intimidate. Kira meets them. Her movements are grounded, rooted to the earth. She parries Akari's high crescent kick with a solid forearm block, deflecting the power rather than absorbing it. Then, as Akari spins for a follow-up, Kira drops low, her body coiling. She moves like a snake striking, then like a bear anchoring itself. Her response isn't a single technique, but a flow. She shifts her weight, riding Akari's momentum, then explodes. Not a hard, jarring strike, but a series of quick, precise body shots. A hook to the ribs, a short uppercut, each delivered with an almost casual power. Kira seems to know exactly where Akari's defenses are weakest, where the air gives way around her strikes. Then, the stellar imagining. Kira's eyes narrow. As Akari comes in with a desperate back kick, Kira seems to pull at something unseen. There is no visible force, no wind, but Akari's kick seems to waver, just for a split second, veering slightly off target. Kira seizes the opening. Her hand shoots out, not a punch, but a palm strike to Akari's diaphragm, delivered with a force that seems to come from deeper than just muscle. It isn't bone-breaking, but it vibrates through Akari, stealing her breath. Akari doubles over, gasping, but still on her feet. Kira doesn't follow up. She steps back, her chest heaving, a faint sheen of light still lingering around her hand. It is a trick of the dojo's old fluorescent lights, she tells herself, a shimmer off the sweat. But she knows better. The power, that strange, quiet energy, is there, responding to her will. The sensei's gaze is fixed on her, an unreadable expression on his face. He watches as Kira helps Akari up, offering a genuinely kind smile. Akari, still breathless, just stares at her, awe in her eyes. Blaze, watching from the sidelines, feels his own hum intensify. He sees the shimmer. He feels that subtle pull in the air when Kira moves. He isn't alone. The sensei claps his hands, a sharp sound that echoes in the suddenly silent dojo. Class dismissed, he announces, his voice calm, but his gaze lingers on both Blaze and Kira. Except for you two. Blaze and Kira freeze. Their eyes meet across the mat again, this time with a new understanding, a shared apprehension. Dot. Dot. The interrogation. Dot. Dot. The head sensei, Master Jin, is a man whose presence can fill a room without a single word. He sits cross-legged on a raised platform at the back of the dojo, his posture perfect, his ancient eyes fixed on Blaze and Kira. Flanking him are two other senior instructors. Sensei Ishikawa, a stern woman with a perpetually unimpressed expression, and Sensei Kenji, whose eyes, despite his placid demeanor, seem to miss nothing. Blaze stands before them, his usual quiet humility replaced by a subtle tension in his shoulders. Kira, next to him, is outwardly calm, but a faint flush on her cheeks betrays her inner turmoil. The air in the dojo, normally alive with motion and grunts, is heavy, expectant. Blaze, Master Jin's voice is a low rumble, surprisingly deep for his age. Your movements today, they are not from our school. And yet, they flow with a harmony I have seen only in the oldest texts. Where did they come from? Blaze's throat feels suddenly dry. I don't know, Master, he murmurs, his gaze fixed on the polished floor. They just come when I need them. He feels the familiar pull, the urge to simply do, to demonstrate rather than explain. It is easier to move than to speak. Sensei Ishikawa's voice is sharp. Are you claiming this as innate? That you arrived here with a fully formed, unteachable style? Her eyes narrow, scrutinizing him. He nods, a barely perceptible dip of his head. It feels like help, like something guides me. He doesn't mention the whispers in his bones, the preternatural awareness that borders on precognition. He knows how that would sound. Crazy. Master Jin's gaze shifts to Kira. And you, Kira, your strikes. They carry a curious resonance. A faint shimmer. What is that? Kira swallows, remembering the tingling on her skin, the almost imperceptible bending of the air around Akari's kick. She tried to rationalize it then, blamed the lights. But now, under Master Jin's unwavering gaze, denial feels pointless. I feel a surge, Master, she admits, her voice steadier than Blaze's. Like I can draw on something from the air, from the ground. It is natural. Sensei Kenji leans forward, his voice softer, almost curious. Natural, or something more, the stellar imagining you seem to manifest, the way your body flows between grounded and fluid forms. It suggests an innate connection to fundamental forces. Kira meets his gaze, a flicker of defiance in her golden hazel eyes. I just use what works. Like a river finding its path. Or a lightning bolt striking its target. The last phrase slips out, a small, electric tremor in the air around her. She looks away quickly, hoping no one notices. Master Jin considers them for a long moment, the silence stretching. Then, he slowly exhales. Very well. Our understanding of the martial ways, of the true balance, is deeper than what we teach in the main dojo. You two possess a unique aptitude. Starting tomorrow, your training schedule changes. His eyes hold a strange, knowing glint. You will join the advanced classes and learn what natural truly means. Dot. Dot. Hidden paths and new faces. Dot. Dot. A few days later, the ordinary world of high school in bustling Tokyo feels like a distant dream. Blaze and Kira find themselves in a different Japan entirely. Their new classes are held not in the familiar dojo, but deep beneath the temple grounds, accessed through a series of inconspicuous passages disguised as maintenance tunnels. The air here is cool, dry, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and something else, something metallic and ancient. Natural light, surprisingly bright, streams in from cunningly placed shafts and holes in the rock above, reflecting off polished surfaces and prisms, illuminating vast, cavernous training halls. It is like stepping into an unearthed civilization, a secret world maintained for centuries. They move through twisting corridors carved from living stone, past chambers where other students practice forms they've never seen, movements that defy gravity or generate strange, whispering winds. These aren't just martial arts, they are something else, something more. Among these new faces are others who, like Blaze and Kira, seem to possess an almost unnatural talent. There is a lean, intense young woman whose movements shimmer with an unseen energy, and a silent, powerful boy whose blows seem to ripple the air. One of these new students is Makao. He is older, perhaps 19 or 20, with a powerful, almost menacing build. His eyes are dark, intelligent, and hold a cold amusement when he looks at Blaze and Kira. He carries himself with an arrogant confidence, a predator sizing up new prey. There's a calculating edge to him, a ruthless efficiency that sets him apart. His style is aggressive, focused on overwhelming force and precise, devastating strikes. When he moves, the floor seems to groan beneath him. Then there is Ruby. She is also new to these advanced classes, perhaps a year or two older than Blaze and Kira. Her movements are sharp, almost crackling, with a peculiar, almost electrical energy. She is lithe, quick, with eyes that dart like an electric current. Her specialty is less about brute force and more about unsettling precision. Blaze sees her in a brief sparring session. A casual touch from her hand sends her opponent staggering back, clutching their arm as if shocked. Static, they call it. Others whisper about lightning. Blaze and Kira observe it all, mostly in silence. Blaze with his usual quiet intensity, absorbing every detail, analyzing every movement. Kira feels a growing sense of unease. This isn't just about fighting anymore. It is about control. Today, a small crowd gathers in one of the larger training caverns. The light, funneled from above, casts long, dancing shadows. A hush falls as two figures step onto the central mat. It is a challenge match. Makao stands at one end, radiating an almost palpable aura of raw power. Across from him, Ruby moves with a restless, almost vibrating energy, her hands already crackling faintly. Blaze feels the hum in his own body intensify, a deep, resonant thrumming. Kira's skin tingles. This won't be just a fight, it will be a revelation. She thinks. Dot. Dot. The shock and the save. Dot. Dot. The air in the cavernous training hall still crackles, not just with anticipation, but with a faint, almost imperceptible static electricity that prickles the skin. Dot. Dot. As Ruby cowers back dazed, Mikhail unleashes a heavy axe kick. Dot. Dot. There is a burst of wind as the ring trembles a moment. Dot. Dot. Blaze stands in the ring, hands still extended, having intercepted Mikhail's finishing blow. His golden eyes, usually humble, are alight with a cold, unwavering defiance. He looks at Mikhail, then down at Ruby, still cowering beneath them. A silent message passes between the two combatants. No more. Mikhail, his face twisted in genuine surprise, slowly withdraws his foot. He hadn't expected this, not from the quiet new kid. Master Jin, still on his platform, observes the scene. A subtle, almost imperceptible nod. Sensei Ishikawa's stern expression finally softens, just a fraction. Sensei Kenji offers a small, knowing smile. The tension in the cavern is thick enough to cut with a knife. Next match. Master Jin's voice booms, cutting through the silence like a gong. His eyes, however, linger on Blaze, then on Mikhail, an unreadable depth in their ancient depths. Dot. Dot. The fire and the fall. Dot. Dot. Blaze feels a strange mix of adrenaline and calm as he steps onto the mat for his next match. He can feel Kira's eyes on him from the sidelines, a silent show of support. His opponent is Trent Fahair, a senior student known for his aggressive, almost volatile style. Trent isn't just fast, he is a literal force of nature in the dojo. When he moves, the air around his hands seems to ripple, and a faint, shimmering heat emanates from his body. They call him the Firebender, though officially, it is described as extreme kinetic energy generation. Hajime, Master Jin commands. Trent explodes forward, a blur of red-hot intent. His fists, balled tight, glow faintly, and the air before them ripples, almost distorting. He throws a furious barrage of strikes, each one carrying the intense heat of a furnace blast. Blaze feels the waves of warmth as the punches whistle past his head, designed to not just hit, but to scald. Blaze doesn't need power with power. His body hums, that internal guidance system kicking in, anticipating every move. He becomes a ghost, slipping under Trent's wide hooks, weaving around his scorching jabs. He finds openings in Trent's fiery assault, not to counter with force, but to disrupt. A quick, almost imperceptible touch to Trent's elbow, forcing a slight overextension. A low sweep that pulls Trent's weight forward. Trent, growing frustrated by Blaze's uncanny evasions, snarls. The heat around him intensifies, a faint smell of ozone now mingling with sweat. He abandons his fiery strikes and suddenly dives low, transitioning into a wrestling takedown, aiming for Blaze's legs. He is strong, powerful, and desperate to get Blaze off his feet, to nullify the elusive striking. Blaze reacts instantly, but the sudden shift in Trent's attack catches him off guard. Trent's arms lock around his waist, driving hard. They tangle, bodies colliding with a heavy thud, and then they tumble to the ground in a desperate grappling. The mat seems to shake under them. Trent, a seasoned wrestler, immediately tries to secure a dominant position, aiming for a leg lock. But Blaze's body moves with an unthinking grace. He doesn't know wrestling holds, but his innate understanding of leverage and body mechanics takes over. He shifts, twists, finding angles, denying Trent purchase. They roll, a violent tangle of limbs and grunts. Then, Blaze sees it, an opening, a moment of imbalance in Trent's aggressive drive. He pushes, pulls, uses Trent's own momentum against him. With a sudden burst of power, Blaze reverses their positions, gaining the upper hand. He pins Trent's arm, an elbow resting precariously on a vulnerable joint. He could have finished it right there, a quick submission, but the hum in his body urges him towards something more definitive. Trent, trapped, desperate, thrashes. He tries to explode out of the hold, pure raw power, but Blaze holds firm. Then, Blaze uses it. Not a direct strike, but a precisely timed flip, using Trent's own struggle. With a grunt, Blaze leverages his position, and in a shocking display of power and control, flips Trent midair in a tight, arcing throw. Trent hits the ground hard, not flat, but awkwardly. A jarring impact. He tries to stand, pure grit in his eyes, but he crumples, falling down in agonizing pain, clutching his shin. Blaze still humming with the readiness for combat, about to launch into a flurry of BJJ transitions and finishing strikes. He'd seen the opening, the opportunity. Then, he stops. The hum quiets. Trent can't fight anymore. Blaze thinks. His eyes, which had held that fiery yet cold fury and unwavering defiance just moments ago, soften. The humility returns, a quiet understanding of the pain before him. He backs off, a single step, then another. The cavern is silent, save for Trent's ragged gasps. Every student, every instructor, watches. Mikhail, still in shock as Ruby, recovering on the sidelines, watches Blaze with wide eyes. Dot. Dot. The summons. Dot. Dot. Master Jin stands, his movements slow and deliberate. His gaze sweeps over the prone form of Trent, then settles, with an almost unnerving intensity, on Blaze, then Mikhail, then Ruby. He clears his throat. Mikhail, Blaze, Ruby. Master Jin's voice is clear, cutting through the heavy air. My office. His words hang in the silence. It isn't a request, it is a summons. A quiet command that promises answers, or perhaps, more questions. Blaze feels a fresh prickle of apprehension. Kira meets his gaze again, her eyes conveying a shared sense of foreboding. They are about to step into something much larger than a dojo. Dot. Dot. The air in Master Jin's office is different. Not the damp earth of the caverns, nor the stale sweat of the dojo, but a faint aroma of aged paper and incense. The room is small, intimate, yet it feels vast, filled with the weight of untold centuries. Scrolls line the walls, ancient and yellowed, alongside intricate diagrams that seem to shimmer with arcane symbols. A low, polished table sits in the center, flanked by cushions. No chairs. Master Jin sits already, his posture serene, his hands resting on his knees. Sensei Ishikawa and Sensei Kenji stand silently behind him, like watchful guardians. Mikhail enters first, his usual arrogant swagger slightly subdued, though a flicker of resentment still dances in his dark eyes as he glances at Blaze. Ruby follows, her face pale, a wisp of residual fear still clinging to her, but her eyes hold a new respect for Blaze. Blaze and Kira enter last, the silence stretching, heavy with unspoken questions. Master Jin gestures to the cushions. Sit. They sit, the four young warriors, each feeling the immense gravity of the moment. The light in the room, filtered through a single, narrow, paper screen window, is soft, almost golden, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like tiny, lost spirits. Master Jin's gaze sweeps over each of them, a slow, deliberate assessment that feels like a probe. You three, he begins, his voice a calm current in the still air, represents something unique. Something powerful, and something dangerous. He pauses, allowing his words to sink in. The techniques you witnessed, the abilities you displayed and encountered, are not mere martial arts. They are manifestations of Ki, the life force that flows through all things. For centuries, the true balance of Ki has been maintained by a hidden lineage, a secret society, if you will, dedicated to preserving its understanding and preventing its abuse. We are that society. This temple, these hidden grounds, are its heart. Kira's breath catches, a secret society. It sounds like something from an old movie, but the reality of it chills her. Blaze, Master Jin's gaze fixes on him. Your innate understanding, your ability to know the next move, it is the whisper of the unseen. A direct conduit to the flow of Ki, allowing you to perceive and respond to it before conscious thought. It is incredibly rare, a gift. Blaze shifts, uncomfortable with the praise, but a sense of revelation washes over him. It finally has a name, this thing he's always just felt. Kira, Master Jin turns to her. Your stellar imagining, your capacity to draw energy from the environment and manifest it, to bend movement, it is the echo of the elements. You instinctively resonate with the fundamental forces of the world, drawing power directly from them. Kira feels a surge of both wonder and fear. Echo of the elements, it makes sense, too much sense. Master Jin's eyes finally land on Makale, a flicker of something almost like regret in their depths. Makale, your power is immense. A raw, unbridled surge of ki, capable of devastating force. You possess the fist of the unbound. But raw power, without discipline, without purpose, is a volatile weapon. Makale bristles slightly at the implied reprimand, but he remains silent, his jaw tight. Then, the master's gaze shifts to Ruby, still pale. Ruby, your ability to disrupt with static energy, to stun, that is the touch of the Tempest. A potent, precise application of ki to interfere with an opponent's internal flow. It is a rare and valuable talent. Ruby looks down, then up at Blaze, a faint gratitude in her eyes. The master knows. He knows everything. Trent's ability, Master Jin continues, his voice softer, the fire bending is the spark of the inferno. A rare talent, poorly controlled, as you witnessed. He sighs. His future here is uncertain. Your intervention, Blaze, though against the rules of a challenge, was understandable. You saw beyond the match to the injury. It speaks to your character. Blaze feels a blush creep up his neck. He just did what felt right. You four, Master Jin's voice grows more serious, are not merely students. You are the vanguard of a new generation. The veil between our world and the energies that shape it grows thin. There are those who seek to exploit this, to twist the true balance for their own ends. They are growing in strength, and their influence spreads. You will be trained, not just in combat, but in understanding, in control, and in the protection of this balance. Your path will not be easy. It will demand everything. He looks at each of them in turn, his ancient eyes piercing, searching for commitment. The hidden society, the balance of ki, the looming threat, it is all real. Dot. 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 Shared solstice. Dot. Dot. Days blur into a dizzying new routine of advanced training. The hidden caverns become less alien, more familiar, the air still cool but now feeling alive with the subtle hum of concentrated ki. Blaze and Kira push themselves, each revelation about the true balance opening new avenues of potential. Makale, still bristling with his own raw power, mostly keeps his distance, a silent, brooding storm. Ruby, however, seems to seek them out, a quiet curiosity in her usually wary eyes, especially after Blaze's intervention. Trent is absent, his legs still healing, his future at the dojo uncertain. Dot. Dot. One evening, after an exhausting session on ki manipulation, Kira approaches Blaze as they walk through a narrow, torchlit passage. Hey, I figure something out, she says, her voice softer than usual. Our birthdays. They're the same day. Blaze blinks, surprised. He's never thought to ask. Really? Yeah, she nods, a small, genuine smile curving her lips. Mine's June 21st, the summer solstice. And you're born in Indiana, right? He nods again, Indianapolis. Across the country, she muses, looking ahead at the dancing shadows on the stone. Funny how that works. Master Jin's files are pretty thorough. She hesitates, then meets his gaze. I was thinking. It's kind of a big deal, right? Learning all this, changing our lives. And now knowing we share this. She gestures vaguely between them. So, I put together something small. A private thing. Blaze just looks at her, his usual reticence making words difficult. A private party for us. Just us, Kira clarifies, catching his unspoken hesitation. And Ruby, and I even convinced Trent to come, he could use a distraction. Nothing fancy, just a quiet acknowledgement of everything. Dot. Dot. Later that evening, after the last class, they gather in a secluded, smaller cavern. Kira has somehow managed to procure a few lanterns that cast warm, intimate light, and even a small, beautifully decorated cake. Ruby sits somewhat awkwardly but with a genuine smile, her hands still. Trent, surprisingly, is there, his fractured leg braced, leaning on crutches, a grimace of pain occasionally crossing his face, but his eyes are happy, more reflective. Kira sets the cake down. Happy birthday, Blaze, she smiles. And to us, I guess. to the bizarre journey we're on. He feels a warmth spread through him, a strange, familiar feeling, this quiet celebration. He offers a rare, small smile. Thanks, and happy birthday to you too, Kira. Ruby offers a tentative, almost shy, happy birthday, Blaze, and you too, Kira. Trent just nods, but there's an unspoken respect in his gaze. He watches Blaze, still processing the raw power and the restraint he'd witnessed days earlier. They talk, not about ancient key techniques or the looming threat, but about mundane things. Their high school classes, the awkwardness of navigating this double life, small, human moments that anchor them. For a few hours, the weight of the true balance lifts, replaced by the quiet camaraderie of shared birthdays and burgeoning friendships. Blaze finds himself talking more than usual, not much, but enough for Kira to notice, her smile widening. Ruby even laughs once, a surprisingly soft sound. Trent, despite his pain, seems lighter, less burdened by his own power. It feels like a fragile moment of peace, a tiny island of normalcy carved out of their accelerating, extraordinary lives. A moment before the next storm. The small cavern air holds a comfortable silence now, filled only with the soft glow of lanterns and the lingering scent of cake. Ruby, a little less withdrawn than usual, taps her fingers rhythmically on the stone floor, a faint crackle of static just audible. So, she starts, her voice low, the solstice. Master Jin told me it's significant for certain types of key users. Like a peak, or something. Kira looks intrigued. He didn't mention that to us specifically. She glances at Blaze, whose golden eyes hold a familiar, distant look, as if listening to something beyond the cavern walls. He wouldn't, Ruby says, a knowing glint in her eyes. He's all about letting us discover. But for those attuned to external forces, like me, or you, Kira, it's a day when the world's natural energy is at its most potent. And for those with an internal compass like Blaze, it can amplify their intuition. As Ruby speaks, the air around her seems to thicken, a faint blue shimmer visible for a heartbeat around her fingertips. Blaze's head cants slightly, his gaze sharpening. He feels a subtle shift in the energy around him, a heightened clarity, as if the whispers in his bones are louder tonight. Suddenly, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor runs through the cavern. It's too subtle for a normal person to notice, but for them, attuned to key, it's like a distant thunder. The lanterns flicker, shadows dancing wildly for a moment before settling. Trent, leaning heavily on his crutches, his face pale, tenses. What was that? He asks, his voice tight with an uncharacteristic fear. The atmosphere in the cavern shifts, the easy camaraderie replaced by a sudden, shared apprehension. The weight of the true balance crashes back down. The tremor intensifies, a low, guttural rumble that vibrates through the rock walls, rattling the very bones of the ancient temple above. Dust drifts from the ceiling in thin, unsettling veils. The lanterns flicker again, this time with frantic desperation, some winking out entirely, plunging sections of the cavern into deeper gloom. Kira pushes to her feet, her golden hazel eyes wide. That's not normal, she whispers, the echo of the elements, in her sensing a disruption far beyond a simple earthquake. The air around her crackles, not with her own power, but with a discordant energy, like two opposing currents colliding. Blaze is already moving, not towards the source of the tremor, but towards the passage they entered through, his instincts screaming for an escape route. His whisper of the unseen is a cacophony now, a jumble of alarm bells, an undeniable sense of a malevolent presence. Ruby clutches her hands, the faint static around them sparking, not in control, but in agitation. It's something powerful, she stutters, her voice thin. Something trying to break in. Trent, still hobbled, struggles to keep his balance, his face a mask of pain and growing terror. The self-assured, firebender, is gone, replaced by a frightened boy. Then, from the direction of the main temple entrance, a distant, muffled explosion echoes through the stone. The ground lurches violently. More dust falls, thick and choking. A chilling wail, unlike anything they've ever heard, rises from the depths of the complex, a sound that speaks of ancient malice unchained. Kira's eyes lock with Blaze's across the shaking cavern. The comfortable illusion of their private party shatters, replaced by the grim reality of their new world. The threat Master Jin spoke of is no longer a theoretical lesson, it is here, knocking at their very sanctuary. They are merely students no longer. The true balance is truly under attack. And they are caught in the eye of the storm. Dot. Dot. Dot.